Hi there, this is your friend Anna, and the question that I've been getting the most from all of my friends is what are we wearing? This age-old question isn't just about choosing an outfit, it's about choosing how we present ourselves to the world. I created the I Want Her Shoes podcast to dive deep into what it means to dress with intention, whether you're heading to a council meeting or just having a casual day out with your family. Join the conversation as we explore the power of personal style and the decisions that shape our public personas. Put on your favorite pair of shoes and step into my closet.
Welcome to part 2 of discovering Anna Anisin, the voice behind trailblazing podcast series, I Want Her Shoes. I'm Amber Gordon, and whilst I'm here delving into the evolution of the podcast and the constant balance of my favourite entrepreneur whilst being a mother of 2. Hi. Right, let's open it up a little bit. To date, you have had an accomplished and lengthy journey. How do you look to weave this, your own life experiences into the podcast?
Great question. So that's really one of the reasons why I started the podcast, because I have so many great stories about how style and fashion, and especially shoes, have influenced my career. Let me tell you one story, actually, that has to do with a pair of shoes that I don't have now because they were so worn out that I had to get rid of them. But they were Cynthia Nicks, and they're like a little pump, kind of like maybe like this, but like a closed toe. And I went to a conference, and in my early 20s, it was one of the first conferences, like Web 2.0 or something like that. I think it was a Tim O'Reilly conference, and then somebody noticed my shoes, and that person actually ended up being the person that introduced me to the people who bought my first startup when I was 25. So yeah, that really changed my whole career, actually meeting that person, and that was because of the shoes I was wearing. So I definitely believe there's a lot of different stories like this to be heard from not just myself, but other people and their journeys.
No, absolutely. In what ways do you feel this will help you directionalize and empathize with the content you're creating?
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm more emotionally excited and committed to creating this content because I feel like it's a conversation that we need to have. And just this morning, one of my friends text messaged me, what do I wear to an 80s party? I'm going tonight. And she was literally not going to go because she didn't know what to wear. And I'm like, look, there's stuff in your closet. You could literally pull something out, like a sweater dress, and just tie your hair to the side, right? But a lot that's a question that everybody asks. So we just need to talk about it. We need more content about it. So that's what I'm really going to focus on. Is creating actionable content that we can actually go in our closet and we can be excited about getting dressed to an 80s party, not scared.
No, right? Yeah. That's exactly what I need in my life. So how are you hoping the podcast helps impact and kind of influence, kind of like inspire your audience?
Well, I feel like I hope that this will inspire people to be more creative when they're dressing, right? Like, and not to be afraid to really show their personality and their style, because for a lot of people, that's how they express themselves, right? So I want to encourage more women to express themselves, because I have been in tech, for example, like 20 years, my whole career, and I've always been the only one dressing up, but that made me, as I mentioned with the shoes, really give me the opportunities and stand out in the crowd.
Right, no, totally. How do you feel the podcast is a fresh approach to the existing podcast landscape?
Well, as I said, there's actually not a lot of conversation about real women and what to wear and how to wear it and why the emotions that go behind the stories with the pieces that they have in their closets. So I feel like there's definitely a gap there, and I've talked to a few folks, and I'm a big Sex and the City fan, and I feel like there hasn't been anything since then.
It's just iconic.
Yes. Oh my gosh, and I'm a huge. I grew up watching it. I am very inspired by that. And I feel like we need to continue that conversation, right? And I feel like it stopped a little bit after the show ended. And I know there's a new version of the show, but it's not the same. It's not for the person. I'm a millennial, and there's not really a lot of conversation for us right now in this space. So I see a gap, and I'm hoping that people like it.
So in the contents you've created so far, is there any standout moments for you that have been extremely rewarding?
Yeah, just really, I mean, as I said earlier, there's a lot of stories that are tied to pieces of clothing like shoes, and really seeing people open up and tell their stories that are connected either to their parents who have passed or something else that they were part of when they're younger and they still have that piece and it tells a story. And speaking of this, Amber, can we talk about your favorite pair of shoes, and why don't you show us what they are and what the story is behind them?
I have two currently. I have a beautiful little pair of red.
I love those. They're so sexy.
They're so sexy. They're beautiful, and they're kind of like been in my wardrobe for quite some time. But they are a very old pair of shoes that I actually bought from a Christian Louboutin editor's sale. So thank you very much for that. And then my new latest obsession is the new
I think those are so
which
cute.
are totally my jam.
They're so you. Yeah, I've seen your style, and those really, both of those fit in. Those are like more your evening vibe.
Yeah.
And these are like your mom every day going to pick up your son from school vibe.
Yes.
So,
Love
so
those.
see, there's definitely,
Love
you
those.
remember the sale, that.
Yeah.
So there's probably people that come to mind, so it is a little bit emotional. So those kind of stories have been really inspiring for me to get more and just learn more about people, right? And
No, totally. As a CEO and podcast host, how do you ensure your leadership style adapts to the evolving demands of the digital media and podcasting?
yeah, that's a really great question. And I think that really has to do with my push on, diversity and hiring a diverse team. And because we have a lot of different talents and they know what's trending, right? So we can have the best clips, we can have the best tools, the best things that we can use to make our content the best, right? So I feel like for me, as a manager, I have to hire a great diverse team to do all of that successfully.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely very much about a supporting team to kind of enhance your skills.
Yeah, and again, we can't do everything. And as I said, once you actually realize that you could hand something over to somebody and you could do it successfully, then you could be so much more successful, and just do much more.
Totally. What challenges have you faced in the tech industry, and how do you kind of navigate them, sort of at this time in your life, really?
Well, I've changed. That's a great question as well, and that could be a really long answer. So I'm not going to make it super long, but I've definitely faced a lot of challenges in my tech industry, my tech career when I was actually in Silicon Valley. I had a lot of discrimination. I had trouble raising money. I really had trouble getting mentors, and that's why I wanted to turn that around and create more, initiatives and build ecosystems that welcome more women, that have mentorship, right? That elevate more voices. So my negative experiences I have used to turn into positive actions. So yeah,
definitely. I mean, balancing a career and motherhood, we're both mums, a very relatable topic for large cross section of your audience. How do you carefully balance the scales in your life? Because I know it's tricky to do it in mine.
Yeah, I mean, again, with a great team, because I couldn't my team is my nanny for that side of my life, and I couldn't do things without her. Thank you, Margie. And just having, I know that you're a single mom. I'm married, so I feel like for me, that's definitely support that I have as well, because I can just take a nap sometimes in the morning, on Saturday, because somebody's there. But I think it really takes, again, having the right support. Or finding your ecosystem again to help you, right? Because not everybody can afford or have the right support, or you don't have family. I think it's really building those relationships. And then you could really figure out how to do a lot of things. And then you actually become, I feel more productive. Don't you agree? Because you really value your time, with the kids and everything. And the times that you have actually make you think more about how you use your time.
Yeah, I definitely don't waste time whatsoever.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like being a mother has influenced the way you make content and kind of how you host your podcast?
Gosh, becoming a mom has definitely pushed me to a lot of different levels of trying to do things better. Communication, have to learn how to communicate with my sons, and that really made me, I feel better communicator and better podcast host, better interviewer, better listener, because I have to do that at home. No joke. You know?
Listening is key.
Yep.
Every new project has growing pains. What do you feel the major obstacles are to date that you've had to overcome to do with the podcast specifically?
Well, I believe for me it took, I told the story before briefly, but it took me about more than 10 years to actually do this podcast. I've had this brand, I Want Her Shoes, since 2009, actually. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. And I feel like now with all the experience that I've had, I can actually do it. And I have the right team behind me to do a good podcast, right? So that's what I feel like with all the experience. I feel like 40s are the new 20s, guys. So don't be afraid. You can do something amazing still anytime in your life.
Yeah. Do you feel there's any key lessons that you've learned?
Yeah, definitely the key lessons are just be very positive and think about things, don't rush things. Be patient. Again, that comes from parenting as well, but I feel like in business, that's very important because you could make a bad decision really quickly if you're not patient. Like, you should really look at the data. And I've definitely become a lot more data-driven since my 20s. So,
yeah. Do you feel leading the podcast has sharpened your leadership skills in terms of as a communicator?
Yeah, definitely. And I think some of you might know already, I have another podcast called the Data Science Salon. It's the AI and machine learning and data podcast. And I've been doing that one for about 5 years now. And I feel like I've learned a lot, like by talking to a lot of different people, I've become a lot better at interviewing people and just communicating. I feel like just a lot of practice makes perfect or better. I don't think anything is perfect. I think it could always be better, but I feel like to launch a project, it should just be good enough because you could wait forever and never launch anything, right? So
yeah. Now that you have your feet wet with the podcast, what key future developments are you excited to explore kind of along the way with the vehicle?
Gosh, there's so many different things I want to explore, one of which is a book. I feel like we could definitely write a book about what are we wearing, how to wear it, where to wear it, and then an app. I see like there being tech attached to this with AI, so you could put your whole closet in the app and then you could tell it like I'm going to a tech conference in Austin and this is my goal, right? And then we'll tell you what to wear from your closet. So I think like there's so many opportunities for this.
Very much a style-orientated thing, then.
Yes.
Out of everyone, who would you most like to guest profile?
Well, I feel like that's a no-brainer. Carrie Bradshaw, I would love to have her come to my closet, or I'm happy to go to her closet as well. So that's my goal, is to end up in her closet in Carrie Bradshaw's, or Sarah Jessica Parker, who I feel like to me they're the same person, but I know they're different. But either one would be awesome.
Yeah, so she has a very large closet.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like as big as my house.
And she has a warehouse.
Yes, with all the looks and everything from all this. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. But that's like an archive, that's museum style stuff, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. For this year, do you have any key milestones you wish to accomplish, be that personal or professional?
Yes, definitely the milestone this year is to really get this podcast out, create the ecosystem around it, focus on that. And then for personally, definitely focus on my kids and really like their development, because they're in very, one of them is 5. That's very, very precious stage now that they're moving into like more being like adult-like. And the other one is 2. So I really want to focus more on like spending more time with them, finding the right programs for them to be part of, so that's my goal for the year. Anna, it's been remarkable to hear about the drive and the passion behind I Want Her Shoes podcast. It's very empowering and inspiring to give professionals such a vivid seat at the table by someone who already has her seat at the table and is making waves very much in your own industry, whilst impacting others and as you so gracefully collide with them.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
it was really nice
pleasure.
to chat with you, Amber.
Likewise. Thank you.
What's the one fashion trend that you think should never make a comeback?
Well, the one that's making a comeback now, actually, the one with the crack, like where you show your butt crack.
All right.
No, like I'm not gonna do that.
My one's also made a comeback. Puffball skirts.
Oh my god, no, but why? Like, yeah.
I don't know. It's like a revival of the 80s and 90s, and kind of it wasn't sexy the first
But
time.
like in an ugly way.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're making everything like uglier this time.
No,
Like,
definitely.
unfitting.
Or maybe I just don't understand it because I've grown up. Okay. Have you ever made a bold fashion choice that has backfired?
Gosh, yes, I think everybody has. I've definitely had a few shoes actually break on me, like that were pretty fashionable. And actually I had a pair of boots that like ripped on the side once. So I literally had to like find a Walgreens and get little flip-flops to wear because I was at a conference.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I've had shoes that have broken on me, and I remember walking, having lived in New York for a long time, walking across the meatpacking in the high summer, barefoot, trying to find kind of a Dwayne Reed to buy flip-flops or something, and it was just horrible. It was really dirty. It was horrible.
See, you guys need to make better shoes, y'all, right? So we don't have those guys because I feel like it's not usually clothes that you have that with. It's usually your footwear.
Yeah, I think for me, clothes is more on the style side. You know, sort of stylish thing that you kind of completely have backfired. I remember being a teenager years and years and years ago. Actually, I remember being a teenager many years ago, and kind of wearing belted shirts with all different strange colours and things that didn't match together. And I guess you kind of find your own personal style at all times.
Yeah, I used to wear like green lipstick and stuff, and people thought I was like the craziest person. But that's what I wanted to show, different style.
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
AI is a really, really hot topic at the moment in every industry that is humanly possible, including the fashion industry. You know, there are many ways that, you know, people have kind of touted it as kind of like the next mecca for the fashion industry. Do you feel there's any negative impacts with AI into the fashion industry and embracing it?
Yes, definitely. From just like there is from the like other artist-driven industries, I feel like a lot of designers are not afraid, but they just don't want to be confused with AI produced products, because now it's really easy to produce the fabric using AI or like a design. So I feel like there's just a lot of confusion, I feel like, because at the end of the day, AI and those tools are supposed to make it easier for you to design, right? Like, so yeah. I mean, that's, again, I don't really know what the right answer is. I think we're going to figure it out as we go along, right? As we build more AI and things. But I do think we do need to have some kind of regulations where people don't lose their ideas to AI, right? Because then why do we even need designers or artists or musicians if you could just get everything produced by AI, right? That's
so you feel it's a talent?
I think it's really an addition to help you be better, like be more advanced, and that's what we're seeing in I'm in marketing, B2B marketing. We're seeing just more efficiency, really.
Yeah, fair enough. Has your personal style ever been misunderstood in a professional setting? Having worked in the fashion industry, for me, anything goes. It's not really such a big boundary to cross, but obviously you, in a different industry to myself, kind of like, do you feel there's been misinterpretation?
Definitely, yeah. And there's definitely been a lot. I mean, actually, a story, the most recent one that I had was during COVID, when I was doing a lot of live content for the data science and AI and very technical industry. I was wearing something that was low cut, and like I got bashed by women from the industry. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, they were saying that's too sexy, like you shouldn't wear that. So yeah, definitely there's like a line that you could draw, but also that's people's opinions. You know what I mean? So that's very, like, again, I don't think, was it controversial? Not really, but they thought it was. So I feel like that's also a fine line to walk. What do you feel, like, would you handle that? Because people have their own opinions, right? Somebody might think it's sexy, but maybe this person doesn't think it's too sexy, or they think it's okay, right? So like, I think that's really like where we get confused about what's appropriate and what's not.
No, I hear you. I'm very pro women and pro kind of the way women do stuff, whatever that may be. I'm very embracing of that. I'm not a big women's basher. I mean, I don't really know how you would go about handling that, because it seems so counterintuitive to
Exactly.
me as a person.
What I did at the time, I just asked other women that I knew to like step in and comment for me, you know. And I feel like you just have to use your ecosystem and your network to really like, if it's not, if it really is not necessary or it's hateful, I feel like that's a really good way to come back, is like have an impact from your ecosystem to back you up on it.
Yeah, okay. Sustainability is a big buzzword in fashion currently. You have a lot of bodies, and I don't mean bodies like you and me, but kind of like fashion bodies that kind of are really pushing sustainability within fashion currently.
Right.
How do you feel the industry is truly making strides, or do you feel it's primarily giving lip service?
I mean, I feel like it's been a buzzword for like many, many years. And I feel like I want to see the data really to see what difference has been made. Because I do think a lot of companies use it as like a buzzword for their marketing campaigns and such. I mean, the reason I thought about launching a product, right? Why not launch a new shoe? But I thought about like, do we need another product? And I don't think we do. I feel like there's other ways to contribute to the ecosystem, right? To figure out how do we reuse the products, or how do we like find ways to incorporate older things that weren't sold into the fashion ecosystem, right? Without like burning it, which I feel like that's really crazy that they do that too, right?
Yeah.
That they actually take huge amounts of stock that they don't sell and they just go and burn it. And like that's also bad. That's bad for the environment, I feel.
No, definitely.
Just make much less of it, guys. Like make
Fast
it limited.
fashion.
Yeah.
Very tricky. Very tricky. But
Yeah.
then you also have the sustainability of fabrics and kind of the way things are manufactured, through to kind of new kind of eco-friendly leathers.
Yeah, I love
made
those.
out of mushroom skins. You know, there's different ways the industry is striving to recreate luxury as we know it.
Yeah, I even saw. Have you seen this whole resurgence of fur? Like not new fur, but like used fur. Like people are going to vintage stores looking for fur, and like I feel like, again, I'm not about killing animals, but I feel like if you're using like old pieces that have been like that are from the 80s, 70s, and 90s, that's great that you're not actually buying new products. So
Yeah, no, I agree.